My name's Oliver. I've been at RLC for around a year. I joined last March about, and my story kind of begins in about eighth grade, which, for a little bit of context, I'm in 11th right now, so it was about 3 years ago. And this was about the time where I started having my parents talk about RLC. That has absolutely nothing to do with the story I'm about to tell. I'm just going to let you know that that was about the time where I was being kind of every once in a while I'd hear about it, and then it became to the point where I would hear about it all the time, and so that's a little bit of that. But basically, the thing that got me into RLC was mainly the pandemic. As you know, the pandemic was really hard for a lot of people, and it impacted me a lot, mainly because I was stuck at home. So in eighth grade, we went home in about March of that year. I was pretty much at home until January of the next year. So even though it's not a full year, it felt like much longer than a full year. Uh, the pandemic is basically where it started to go downhill in terms of my mental health. Um, you know, hold on, I don't even know what I'm reading right now. Oh, right. Okay. So, being away from all the people and being away from the teachers and being away from everyone, just being at home, sitting in my room, doing my work for hours on end was definitely not good for me. Obviously, it wasn't good for most people, but it impacted me especially because I was so used to being just surrounded by people all the time. Even when I was in public school, just when I was younger, I'd be around my family a lot more than I have been in the last few years. Um, and then, so fast forward a little bit from ninth grade, where I went back to school, it was pretty much smooth sailing, kind of, until about December of my 10th grade year. And that's when my mental health was pretty much at its lowest valley at that point, and I was sent to a PHP program, which stands for Partial Hospitalization Program, which is basically a place for anyone with, depression, anxiety, even some, drug use, which I was not really into, but that's another reason you could go there. And that program, you know, it kind of showed me a lot because as a place that you never really want to go if you're, just a regular person. I was actually happy to be there because of how much I was struggling in school. Um, I really did like it at the PHP program while I was there because all the stress of, all the compounding work on you that you would get around that December time in the year is where I noticed school started to pick up a lot. And I was away from all that. I basically got a free pass when I got back into school. I basically didn't do any of that work and I kind of just got out of it, which I was definitely happy about. But that kind of showed me that there are ways to get around the systems they place in you in school. And like Leo said, I was very good in school. I was very book smart, if that makes sense. So it was very easy for me to get through school, but I realized that, I wasn't really learning what I needed to learn. Of course, I was learning how to do the quadratic formula and the warp 1812 and all that stuff, but I really wasn't learning the skills I believed I needed the most in college and beyond. Uh, Mainly college at that point. I was thinking a lot about college, but beyond that is definitely you don't need to learn all these things. And it was at the point at when I went back to school, I was in school for about 2 months after the PHP program, and then that's when I left school. But in that time, I went right back to the place I was in December. I was doing fine in PHP. Once I got back to school, I was just as depressed. I was just as stressed. I was always anxious. I never left my room. I was always just alone, which, as I've already stated, is something I do when I'm super depressed, but it doesn't make anything any better. It makes it worse, actually. So I just sit in my room all day doing schoolwork and just cranking it out, but really wasn't enjoying that. So in public school, you don't really have to be smart in the real world ways of being smart, if that makes any sense. You just have to be book smart, mainly, which is not hard to do. You just have to do the work that they're telling you to do. But I find that working independently and not having anyone tell you what you need or don't need to do is a lot more difficult, and it's a lot more, fulfilling to actually figure that out. You're definitely gonna have to figure out things on your own at RLC. You're never gonna be told what to do, but not in like a lazy way. It's just the way of, you just have to figure it out yourself. You have to figure out yourself pretty much in general. You just have to know what you're capable of, know what you should be doing at all times. You should be, kind of judging what you need to do yourself and not have other people tell you what to do. And I really like the freedom that we have here at RLC. You have the chance. I've definitely left a little bit early when I don't have classes to go to the gym. You can go to lunch whenever you want. You could just go on walks if you really feel like it. And you pretty much just have to choose, is it worth your time or not? And that's a big thing at RLC, is time management, I've noticed. And you can go to, one class, you can go to 20, 30 classes. No one's going to tell you what your best option is going to be. So you're going to have to figure that out yourself. And you got to figure out how those classes are going to fit into, a time frame, and how much time you want to work on your own, how much time you want with free time with friends and things like that. And I feel like when you're in that school setting and you're just doing your work and people are telling you what to do, it doesn't really feel like real life. I keep using that word real life. I don't really know what I mean by that. I just kind of think that it's like a very controlled environment. Obviously, school is, and it's like kind of scripted in a way. It's like you know exactly what's going to happen. If I don't do this, I'm going to get a bad grade. If I do this, I'm going to get into this class or whatever. And I don't think that's really that important to me personally or a lot of people. A lot of things that they're going to tell you, I've noticed in elementary school, they're going to be like, "Oh, you gotta be prepared for this, because once you get to middle school, you're gonna have to do this." And then in middle school, once you get to the last year of your middle school years, they're gonna be like, "All right, I need to prepare you for this so that you can get good grades in high school." And then in high school, they're gonna be like, "All right, we're gonna try to prepare you for college." And one, that never happens, and two, I don't think that they really prepare you for the next step of your life very well at all. And honestly, I think that the last part, the college part, being ready for college is a lot more similar to RLC than to a public school. Um, just the just not only in the idea that you can just pick your classes, you can have free time and stuff, but it's mainly like the main like ideas that you have to think about on a daily basis, like whether you're going to be doing this or you're going to do that, or are you going to go to class, or are you going to work on an independent project and just try to learn stuff yourself. And me personally, I think I take a small to moderate amount of classes compared to the other kids. It's around 8 to 10 classes a week, which for a college student would obviously be more than you would take in college, because the classes in college are longer. Classes are also are only 1 hour, but I do take a smaller amount of classes because a lot of the things I'm working on personally are independent. Um, I sometimes do math on my own, but the bulk of my independent learning has been learning how to edit video. I'm really interested in video and film editing. And one big thing I've learned from RLC is that in this example in particular, I don't always finish my projects. Most of the time, I actually don't, but I'm learning through the process, which is kind of like a nice example of, our school in quotes, in general. Like, if, for example, there's been a few classes I've gone to, and I feel like I got what I needed out of it. So you can just stop going. You don't have to continue going if you know you're not going to be getting anything out of it. And I think that's really important because when you're in a regular school, they sometimes you just have units that just go on, and it feels like they never end. But you feel like you already mastered the skill. And at RLC, if you feel like you've mastered something, You can just move on. You don't have to keep doing it. And school is very not engaging in that way. It's like you're basically learning, you're learning to take directions from other people and just have them tell you exactly what you need to do, which one is not really realistic unless you're planning on working, some sort of, I guess, like retail job or something as an adult. But if you're going to go into any other field, you're not always going to be told what to do. And not only will you have the freedom in real life to take what you want to take, do what you want to do, and go where you want to go whenever, as long as you have, the lifestyle for that. You at RLC, I feel like you can engage in the real world the way an adult would, if that makes any sense. So the way I think about it is that at school you have to act like you're basically like uh I don't know what the word is, but the teachers are always superior to you. And I feel like in real life, with the exception of, a boss or something, everyone's pretty much on an equal field. So everyone has the same opportunities to an extent, obviously, but everyone is going to be treated the same way most of the time in terms of your work and things like that. And I feel like the things that you get to do when you're treated as an adult at RLC rather than a student is you have just so much more freedom. There's so much less stress and being told what to do. You get to figure that out yourself, which don't get me wrong. It could be stressful thinking about what you need to do on a daily basis. Sometimes it is hard. It is, especially for me, it's very hard to, always have something to do. A lot of the time, I'm just wandering around, just doing nothing. But that's kind of like my thing. But I feel like even in those moments, I'm still, at least at the very least, I'm enjoying my life more than I would at public school, and that's pretty much what I think what I think is really just important in life. You can have all the money, all the fame, or whatever in the world, which is very cliche to say, but if you're not happy, it doesn't really matter. And that's pretty much why I think RLC is definitely a more like freeing place. You have the choice to be as happy or as non happy as you like, pretty much. And that's what I really like about it.